Every time I come to Canada, a little more of Canada seeps into my bloodstream, and from there, straight to my heart.
A historic day in the nation's capital. King Charles delivers the speech from the throne.
Today, the crowning moment in a royal visit. Our country's monarch officially opens Parliament. Good afternoon. It's a day of pomp and circumstance, the culmination of a two-day visit by King Charles and Queen Camilla in Ottawa.
The reading of the throne speech is a significant moment for our country, and royal watchers lined up early to catch it all. CTV's Rahim Ladhani joins us live with the details. Rahim.
Michelle and Nathan, good afternoon. As you mentioned, this is a historic moment in this country for several reasons. This is only the third time since Confederation that a monarch has delivered the throne speech. It was delivered by Queen Elizabeth in 1957 and 1977. Secondly, having the King open Parliament during a time where Canada's sovereignty is under the microscope is meaningful and part of the united front that Prime Minister Mark Carney certainly wants to portray to Canadians and the world. And that sense of national pride began this morning with the royal receiving an official escort to the Senate. King Charles and Camilla rode down Wellington Street in Canada's state landau. This is a four-wheeled, mostly black and purple chariot typically used to carry ambassadors, heads of states, and the Governor General during ceremonial events. They were surrounded by 28 RCMP-supplied horses, and after receiving a royal salute, conducting an inspection of the guard and 21-gun salute, the royals went into the Senate building. Then, after a greeting line, they watched a local First Nation drum group perform. A short while later, the royals entered the Senate to a packed house. And among those in the audience were former prime ministers Justin Trudeau, Stephen Harper, and Kim Campbell. Then, for the first time in nearly half a century, it was time for the monarch to lay out Prime Minister Mark Carney's goals for the upcoming parliamentary session as he delivered Canada's speech from the throne.
Many Canadians are feeling anxious and worried about the drastically changing world around them. Fundamental change is always unsettling. Yet this moment is also an incredible opportunity. An opportunity for renewal, an opportunity to think big and to act bigger, an opportunity for Canada to embark on the largest transformation of its economy since the Second World War. A confident Canada, which has welcomed new Canadians, including from some of the most tragic global conflict zones, can seize this opportunity by recognizing that all Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away.
In the speech, King Charles talked about Prime Minister Mark Carney and his government's vision, saying that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone. This speech is meant to set the government's priorities at the opening of every new session of Parliament, and we heard just that. The King outlined the government's economic path, stating there will be several GST tax breaks for home buyers. He talked about speeding up the approval process of projects to 2 years from 5. And he also said the government will cut its own operating budget from growing by 9% yearly to just 2%. It was also interesting to hear the King detail how the government plans to crack down on car theft and home invasions. The King saying the government will toughen the criminal code to make it harder for repeat offenders to receive bail. Another big theme of this speech was, of course, Canada's independence, and the King reiterated the government's mandate to define a new economic and security relationship with the United States. King Charles summed it up in the final line of his speech, where he said, quote, "As the anthem reminds us, the true north is indeed strong and free." Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladhani. Michelle, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Rahim. And that comment got a big applause in the Senate. Let's take you back to Ottawa now, where you can see the King and the Queen. They have departed the Senate, and they are making their way to the National War Memorial. Let's listen in for a second. Maybe we can hear a little bit of what he's saying.
You know, and as we do watch this must be an amazing moment for those in Ottawa getting a chance to actually see the King face to face on this two-day visit in Ottawa. And I will say, just listening to that speech, generally speaking, it was reassuring. And he did once again reinforce Britain's support for our country, and also the importance for us to not just be this sovereign nation, but to also stand strong in the face of all these new challenges. We're going to check in with CTV's Colton Prale in Ottawa right now. And Colton, you heard the speech from the throne, and quite a bit was said, but it was pretty reassuring overall.
Absolutely. I mean, he used the word sovereign 5 times in the speech from the throne. As Rahim pointed out, his near final remarks that the true north is indeed strong and free earned rapturous applause, so much so that you would have been forgiven if you thought that was the final line of the speech, because that is exactly what he came here to do. This was very much a commitment to Canada's sovereignty, the symbolism of the sovereign, of the monarch delivering this speech. That was what this trip was about. And what was crucial is, beyond having the representative of the king, the governor general, give this speech, by having the monarch himself deliver the speech from the throne, you're drawing international eyeballs to Canada. And that's important not just when you're reaffirming our sovereignty, but for so many of the other elements in this speech that came up. There was talk about Canadian unity and pride very early on, but one of the first things that the king mentioned was that Canada was ready to build new relationships with like-minded allies, that there would be a new economic and security relationship with the United States. These are messages not just for Canadians, but to our international partners that are watching and that are paying attention to these kinds of moments. Later on, when he was speaking about defense, he included the fact that Canada would be taking part in Rearm Europe to increase transatlantic security, working with our European partners. This was very much a message for Canadians, but it was also being broadcast to Washington. It was being broadcast to London and Paris and across the world to our allies who are paying attention to these kinds of moments. And that's the significance of having the monarch deliver this speech and imbue the international attention into this moment. It allows Mark Carney to position Canada on a much grander stage than if it had just been delivered, as is often the case, by the Governor General. And that's important to note, that there is much more to this than just what we saw in the laying out of a Liberal platform that was, by and large, detailed thoroughly throughout the campaign. There wasn't a lot of new promises or details in there. There was perhaps a little bit of extra nuggets of information. It was all condensed into one place, but much of that was information that we already knew the Liberal government wanted to achieve over the course of this Parliament.
Right, and as we look at live pictures of King Charles and Queen Camilla on the way to the National War Memorial, not only did he talk about their new relationship with the U.S. and the new military relationship with them, he did talk about Canada's goals as well. He did lay out some of them.
Absolutely, he did. I mean, there was a number of political goals in there. On a grander scale, the goal is to build new coalitions with like-minded allies, saying that we're looking for people with shared values that believe in international cooperation. He talked with the U.S. about delivering an economic and security partnership that has transformational benefits for each sovereign nation. But inside Canada, the focus really was on those primary points for Mark Carney. It was about ensuring that internal trade barriers, I should say, were falling by Canada Day, that tax cuts were delivered quickly to Canadians, that home building was sped up. But we heard him speak a lot about crime. We heard him speak a lot about defense and ensuring our protections were there. This was, you'd be forgiven if you were listening to this and thinking it sounded a little bit like the Conservative platform, because there was a lot of talk around those policies that they harped on or narrowed in on during the campaign. Things like car and auto theft, and the need for more border officials, the need for more RCMP officers, the need for increased regulation or legislation around bail, for example, to diminish some of those crimes. We saw discussion around the need to have spending restraints, a 2% cap on new spending, highlighting the fact that it had jumped to 9% under recent federal governments. We heard about approval timelines, dropping those down from 5 years to 2 years. I mean, this was a very grandiose political plan brought forward. And what you didn't hear a lot of was social programs, things like healthcare or employment insurance, economic policy on a more micro level for individuals. That wasn't discussed as much. This was more about the nation-building promises that Mark Carney has promised as Prime Minister.
Yeah, quite a bit. CTV's Colton Prale in Ottawa. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
And we are now watching what is the final leg of the King and Queen's whirlwind visit here to Canada. It was quite something to see them walk from the Senate and greet the crowds of people. Thousands have come out over the past 24 hours for a chance to meet the King and Queen, and they have been very accessible amid all of this. But of course, there is a lot of security as well. Let's listen in because it is the national anthem. And so what's happening now is the King and Queen, they are paying a visit to the National War Memorial. This was created after the First World War to commemorate the soldiers that were lost and sacrificed in the name of freedom, but it's also a symbol for all the soldiers and Canadians who have fought for freedom around the world. This is going to be a moment where they will have a wreath and place it on the tomb of the unknown soldier.
All right, we're watching the live images, King Charles, Queen Camilla on their official visit here at the National War Memorial. And this, of course, is their last event before heading back to Britain. They'll be heading to the airport on their flight back home. And quite a bit was accomplished in this two-day visit. Of course, this ceremony, part of the commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the tomb being set up at the memorial in the year 2000. And, of course, the monarch placing a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Quite a bit of pomp and circumstance. And of course, not much earlier, maybe an hour ago, the throne speech was delivered. And quite a bit was said. He didn't say Trump specifically, but he did talk about Canada's relationship with the U.S. and the importance of forming alliances with other countries and building up our own economy in different ways. And I think, if anything, he wanted this country to know that it has the strength and the ability to not just be sovereign, but to get through this difficult time, this new challenge.
This is his first visit to Canada since his coronation 2 years ago. We know he had a cancer diagnosis. You know, it was also the pandemic as well. So this is the first time in this new monumental role that he is coming to Canada as Canada's head of state. And it couldn't be more timely because we've talked time and time again about the U.S. and Trump mentioning that we should become the 51st state. So this is another way to have him help us in our goal to assert our sovereignty. And every single leg of this very brief but whirlwind visit, it's been timed perfectly. He's due to depart at around 12:20. We'll see if they're exactly on time. But also everything is planned down to the T. And there's so many little significant moments events over the past 24 hours that are notable. He planted a tree, the dirt from that tree planting from all over the country. And even there was that puck drop yesterday. You know that puck is going to go somewhere special. This is a moment in time that Canadians will look back. Do you remember when the King paid a visit? And this is really only the third time that a monarch has opened a session of Parliament.
Yeah, it is special. He did talk about the importance of just seizing the opportunity. And he didn't just talk about our relationship with allies in other countries. He talked about our relationship with ourselves and the importance of us trading with each other. So it was very specific to things that we can do internally to also get through many of these new challenges that I'm sure many of us did not even expect to face a few months ago. So certainly very relevant, very poignant. And he hit really the nail on the head on a lot of key issues that Canadians are facing right now, not just looking outside, but looking internally as well.
And as serious as all that is, it has been a very jovial time. If you've watched the crowds over the past day, a lot of people, you know, chanting and singing, and there are always people who come out in protest against the monarchy, that's for sure. And certainly polls suggest that he's not as popular as his mother, but there are a lot of people who really relish in this opportunity when a king and a queen comes to our country.
True, and he also, funny, he talked about his mother passing and also talking about the throne speech delivered, 7 decades ago, and the history and the significance of this as we watch the king about to lay the wreath. Let's just watch and listen in if we can. So there you have it, King Charles placing the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and now Queen Camilla about to do her part in this decades-old tradition as we watch and they pay their respects. And of course, again, this is the 25th anniversary of the tomb being set up at the memorial back in the year 2000.
And because there is such precision with all royal visits, everything planned to a T, we expect at this moment that they will begin to make their way to the airport. But you never know, they might stop to greet other people who are lined up as well. People are often told, don't hand things to the king and queen, but we saw them taking a few items yesterday when they first arrived in Ottawa and made their way to the farmers market and beyond. They have been definitely very accessible to the public during this visit. And you can tell by the cheers at times that people are really relishing in this opportunity to be this close to the king and queen.
But you're right, there is protocol, there is all kinds of security, some you can identify, some you would not be able to identify in the crowds there. And of course, there's multiple street closures in Ottawa, in that area, to make sure that things go smoothly and of course, everyone is safe. we're watching live images of the King and Queen visiting the National War Memorial after leaving the Senate and, of course, greeting crowds that have gathered outside to see them. We're going to leave it there, and we're going to pick up perhaps a little bit later as they head to the airport on their way back home. But we're going to move on to other stories.
On the local news front, another suspected arson at another restaurant in Scarborough.
It's a third suspicious fire in a matter of days. CTV's Beth MacDonnell joins us live from the scene on Birchmount, south of Ellesmere. Beth.
Nathan, I'm at famous Plaza on Birchmount Road. So far, the people I've spoken with today are shocked to learn this is the third suspected arson in this part of Scarborough in the last 5 days. All the fires happened at plazas, and all the fires happened in the early morning hours. Visibly smashed windows from the outside. A gas can sitting on a table inside.
I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I mean, lots of crime going on these days. I don't know what is happening,
Shortly before 3:30 this morning, fire broke out at this Greek cafe on Birchmount, south of Ellesmere. Toronto police are investigating it as a suspected arson. This man owns a business in the same plaza.
I know we feel sympathy for him, like, I hope everything stays good,
The fire is the third suspected arson overnight at a restaurant in this part of Scarborough in the last 5 days. It's being investigated at an Indian eatery near Lawrence and Kennedy after an early morning fire Friday scorched chairs and caused significant damage. Staff say culprits saw a group of men were recording as they smashed through the front door. Then Saturday, and not far away, another Indian restaurant was torched. Security footage shows two suspects who appear to be recording while igniting a flame and throwing it inside before flames erupt and then take off.
Just seems as if we're under siege. It's obviously difficult for the business owners as well with respect to what's taking place. This is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this before, but I can assure you that every effort's being taken to get to the bottom of this.
Police have not said the fires are linked. Here on Birchmount, police say no injuries have been reported, and so far there is no suspect information. Reporting live, I'm Beth MacDonnell. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Beth. Two more people are facing charges in a deadly double shooting that happened in Riverdale last month. 18-year-old Quentin Kaza and 20-year-old Jeremy McNeil were fatally shot while sitting in a vehicle near Logan and Bain Avenue on April 15th. A 17-year-old boy was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder back on May 3rd. Police say another 17-year-old boy and 18-year-old Abdul Rahman Zine were taken into custody in Barrie yesterday. Both are charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
Still to come this noon hour, new details on the timeline of the demise of Canada's oldest company. How many employees are due to lose their jobs at the Hudson's Bay, and when? We'll have those details coming up.
And we have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon at Nathan Phillips Square. A sun-cloud mix, but temperatures are steady, and we are in the 20s. And if you've been waiting for the warm weather, this is what we're talking about. Lindsay Morrison's here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
This is what we're talking about, Nathan. Another very pleasant day out there. Get outside if you can, because things will change into the day tomorrow. We are in the 20s, as mentioned, around the Golden Horseshoe. 20 this hour at Pearson Airport. You might find more teen temperatures the closer you get to the shoreline of Lake Ontario. 13 degrees in Burlington, 11 in Oakville. Part of the reason for that, easterly winds, not overly strong for today, but we will notice that east wind more so through the day tomorrow as conditions begin to change. It will be a cooler day. Today, though, we are seasonal once again. Forecast daytime high 21, 22 degrees, and that's normal for this time of year. There's our satellite and radar, all the sunshine in Ottawa. We're starting to get some cloud cover drift into the GTA, and here's what's coming. Some wet weather for your Wednesday. We'll take you through the forecast just ahead. For now, Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. In Burlington, a stretch of Appleby line remains closed this noon hour.
It's for a police investigation into a crash that happened early this morning. Our Sean Leathong joins us live with the latest. What can you tell us, Sean?
Well, Michelle and Nathan, I'm at the intersection of Derry Road and Appleby Line. You can see over my left shoulder that there's actually a car that has been flipped over. That is part of the crash early this morning. Now, from what we understand, the crash happening around 4:30 this morning. We have sources that have confirmed that there is a power line was actually taken out. There were 5 people inside the vehicle. Police say there were 5 people inside the vehicle and 2 had to be taken to hospital, but no update exactly on what their injuries were and the severity of those injuries. Now, our helicopter was over the scene this morning, and we could see that Halton Police Reconstruction was there investigating the scene. But in the last few hours or so, we've noticed that power that was out, specifically to the lights at this intersection, has been restored, and it seems to have been quiet in the last little while. The car has remained for several hours. There's been no action around the car itself, and it seems like the investigation is on pause. Now, we have contacted police, and they've given us just that information that there were 5 people inside the car, 2 going to hospital, but not any information beyond that. Now, we do know from the video that we have is that there was a police vehicle in the ditch at one point that actually had to be removed this morning, but we don't know exactly what the connection is between the police vehicle and this crash that we're seeing here. We do know that Appleby Line is closed from Derry Road all the way down to Patio for the time being, and we have been given no updates exactly as to when it will reopen, but we will be here for some time. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. A transport truck driver was able to escape without any serious injuries after a rollover in Mississauga last night. The truck flipped onto its side and landed on the sidewalk near Dixie and Eastgate Parkway just before 7:30. The driver was able to get out of the vehicle on their own and didn't require medical assistance from paramedics. The cause of the rollover is still under investigation.
Impaired driving is believed to be a factor after a driver took out a traffic light in North York. Emergency crews were called to the Victoria Park and Shepherd area around 4 this morning. Police say a single vehicle crashed and knocked over at the light at the intersection. 1 person was taken to hospital with minor injuries. And now a warning, some of the video in this next story is disturbing. Police in Liverpool delivered an update today after 65 people were injured when a vehicle drove through a crowd of soccer fans yesterday. It's the latest such incident that has prompted authorities here in Toronto and elsewhere to step up security measures. For more on this, we're joined by CTV's Scott Hurst. Scott, first let's talk about this car ramming attack that took place in Liverpool yesterday. What's the latest from authorities?
Michelle, good afternoon. As you mentioned, we did get an update from Liverpool police a short time ago. Firstly, let's start with the suspect, identified as a 53-year-old man from the United Kingdom facing multiple charges, including attempted murder, dangerous driving offenses, and driving while unfit through drugs. It's believed, according to police, the suspect followed an ambulance to a street that had been previously blocked off. Access had been lifted temporarily to allow the first responders in to attend to a person who police say was likely suffering from a heart attack, and that's how they believe the rampage likely began. Now, we also got an update in terms of the extent of injuries. Police saying more than 50 people were hospitalized, including at least 4 children were part of the injured. 11 remain in hospital at this time, all in stable condition as of now, but also fortunately no deaths have been reported. Now, yesterday police were very quick to point out that they do not believe that terrorism was a factor in this case at all, but right now still investigators combing through a large debris field left behind, just really beginning the investigation. Many unanswered questions still. As I mentioned, the 53-year-old British man arrested at the scene, suspected to be the driver. They add that the man is from West Derby, an area of Liverpool. As the city was celebrating the Premier League Championship, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer offering his thoughts, saying the whole country stands with Liverpool. And to bring it back to our coverage here at home of King Charles in Canada, the monarch also offering his prayers and deepest sympathies in a message on social media.
CTV's Scott Hurst, live for us in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Well, we're live over Hudson's Bay Logistics Centre in Scarborough, where employees, they're holding a rally this noon hour.
Canada's oldest company is in the process of closing for good. And today, we're learning new details about the number of workers who will be laid off and when. CTV's Allison Hurst joins us live with the details. Allison.
We're at a distribution hub where previously there was roughly 350 employees, and now there are just 7 left as this rally comes to a close here outside this distribution hub. So the Bay distribution trucks are still running today despite only these 7 members working inside this hub. These are the final days in the company's 355-year history and follows weeks of sell-off and liquidation of its brands at all stores across Canada. Hudson's Bay filed a motion on Monday stating that by June 1st, 2025, the company will have terminated approximately 8,347, or approximately 89% of its employees. The remaining 1,017 include distribution center employees, which distribution centers are expected to close June 15th, 2025. Approximately 899 of the remaining employees are expected to be terminated on or around June 15th. In the motion, it states staff will be paid their accrued vacation pay as of their date of termination. However, the company does not expect any other termination or severance payments to be paid by the company upon termination. At today's rally, Unifor is calling for the company to honor its legal severance obligations and pushing for reform of the federal insolvency law.
Members, because of the situation of being unsecured creditors in the liquidation process, they are at the back of the line to get their severance, which they should be entitled to. And also the third component is the enhancement that we require to the wage earner protection program run through Service Canada and the government that needs to be enhanced for workers like this and other workers across the country.
So this rally, again, is just starting to wrap up here. We heard from several speakers, many of them who came outside to participate in the rally over their lunch break are going to have something to eat, and then they head back inside for what is one of their final days. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
I'm Jessica Smith here at the Dorset at the Well, located on Wellington. We're finally back into patio weather, patio season. And although there are some British influences here, there is a Canadian tie as well. Coming up, we'll have more about what you can expect as we head into patio season and patio weather. More after the break.
Well, Jess, I think this is a perfect day to hit up a patio. Weather-wise, it is comfortable, it is pleasant out there, it's sunny, a little veiled by some cloud cover, but dry. Here's your patio forecast for later today. Tomorrow, we're going to get into some wet weather. Ahead of that, we're looking at a seasonal overnight, 12 for the low. And then tomorrow afternoon, we climb to about 16 degrees and then fall back to 12 thanks to an east wind and the arrival of some rain. We'll take you through the forecast after this break here on CTV News at noon.
Well, King Charles III will be departing Canada under a bright blue sky. It was stunning in Ottawa. Here in Toronto, a little bit more cloud, but still a gorgeous day.
Yeah, it's bright out there. It's just not that brilliant blue sky that our friends in Ottawa are enjoying right now. Overall today, we do see an increase in cloud cover happening as we make our way through the afternoon. We're expected to remain dry and comfortable temperature-wise. It's tomorrow when you will need the umbrella. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Some beautiful sunshine this morning. This view coming from our CTV News chopper as it was landing at the Toronto Island Airport. What a spectacular view of the city. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. We have seen a little bit of an increase in cloud since that shot was taken. There it is. And as we widen things out, you can see the wet weather that is impacting our neighbors south of the border. Quite active, in fact. We are not looking at heavy amounts of rain necessarily into tomorrow, but let's break down the timing of it so you know what to expect. There's later on this evening. Might even get some clearing before we head into the overnight hours. Maybe some sun first thing tomorrow morning, but by the afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock, we're getting into some showers. On and off continuing into your Wednesday evening. Thursday morning, likely to be unsettled too. Later in the day, that wet weather tapers off. It is expected to be mostly cloudy, and then we might get another round of showers into Friday night. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Anywhere from 10 to 15 millimeters of rain is what we're expecting this time. It's not a multi-day event like what we experienced last week. Temperature-wise, we are at 20 degrees right now. We're forecasting a high of 21. I'll remind you that That is close to seasonal. Now 22 is our seasonal norm. Overnight tonight, we're near normal as well, 12 for the low. And then as we take a look at your lawn and garden forecast, it is worth mentioning that showers are going to be impacting us tomorrow afternoon and evening. Then things remain a little unsettled as we make our way into Thursday. Temperatures around 16, 17 degrees, but tomorrow afternoon that temperature could fall thanks to an east wind. Friday, we're back up around 21. Watch for a few showers into Friday night after a pretty nice day. And then the weekend looks dry but cool. 17 degrees for your Saturday and 18 degrees for Sunday, the first day of June. That's a look at the weather. Dream of a world free from the fear of cancer. The Princess Margaret Cottage Lottery is back this summer. The last lottery sold out, so buy early. Over 10,000 prizes will be awarded, valued at more than $10 million. That includes the grand prizes built by Linwood Custom Homes and designed by Lakeshore Designs. A $2.8 million Halliburton lakefront cottage plus $50,000 cash. A $2.7 million Kawartha lakefront cottage plus $50,000 cash. And a $2.6 million Muskoka lakefront cottage plus $50,000 cash. All cottages are fully furnished, professionally decorated, naturally landscaped with direct lake access. Get your tickets today at princessmargaretlotto.com or by calling 1-866-631-1234. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, the weather is finally cooperating for people itching to spend some time at a cottage or on a patio.
In downtown Toronto, the Well on Wellington is a popular spot. And that's where we find CTV's Jessica Smith this noon hour. Jessica.
We finally have patio weather back, right? It's been a rough couple of weeks. It was cool, it was windy, it was rainy. Today, I don't even need a jacket. And we're here at the Dorset on Wellington at the Well. And it's kind of fitting that the King was on the show earlier because the Dorset, named after Dorset in England. This is Ryan Lister, the executive chef. Talk to me about the British influences here as we kind of make our way through this beautiful display of food.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, the Dorset is a restaurant loosely based on where I'm from in the UK, which is in the south of England. So it's inspired by the British coast and countryside. So a lot of what we serve here is seafood focused in the summertime. In the wintertime is a bit more game, but for summertime we got amazing tartars and oysters and fish dips and classic Scotch eggs, all this good stuff. So yeah, super exciting.
And the Dorset is under the Oliver Bonacini kind of group, which is a Canadian company. How great is it to be able to kind of marry, you know, a piece of home with what you have here in Canada?
100%. I mean, I'm a very proud Brit, but I'm also a proud Canadian. So I definitely love being able to showcase what we've got to give to everybody in Canada. One of the things I don't have on the table right here is these amazing smelts that we fry up in the summer. There's nothing better than fried smelts in Ontario in the summertime with a pint of beer. So yeah, I think it's a really special place to be down here in Toronto in the summertime for sure.
And we're obviously into patio season. I'm going to move this chair out of the way so I can get a little closer to the food because that is half of why I am here. How much fun is it to be able to see people coming into the city for the first time maybe, or maybe they live across the street and enjoying everything that you guys have to offer here?
100%. Like, it's been such a long winter. It's felt like one of the longest ones. I've been here for a decade, and this one's felt like it took a decade to get through. So we're super excited to have the sun out again and get some people out here drinking cocktails and having beers and cider and some British sparkling wine and snacks. Like, this street on Wellington here at the Well is like absolutely full of energy, especially happy hour time in the summer. So like, this is the place to be in Toronto now. Like, I'm so happy to be a part of the Strip for sure.
And it doesn't get much better that we finally have weather that is agreeable and not the absolute worst. There's a little unsettled weather, as Lindsay mentioned, but I'm keeping an eye on the weekends. So I feel like you guys are going to be really busy heading into your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I'm hoping so.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much. We're going to send things back inside. I will try to share some of this with my cameraman, Francis, but for now, I'll send things back inside.
Jess and Francis, they're in their happy place. Thank you. Enjoy. That looks amazing. Meanwhile, the city is looking to make it easier for people who live near community and rec centers to access free programs there. The mayor's making an announcement. We'll have those details when we return.
The city is trying to improve access to recreation programs in Toronto.
The mayor announcing a new initiative today. Our Natalie Johnson joins us live from Regent Park Community Centre with all the details. Natalie.
Hi, Michelle. This is part of a series of ongoing improvements that the city has been making to the registration process for city recreation programs. Many parents will know that up until recently, the sign-up process for these programs was extremely cumbersome. But then at the end of last year, the city implemented new technology that really streamlined the process and made it a lot more user-friendly. One issue that was still happening, though, was that the free rec programs that were available to communities that needed them were being filled up by people from right across the city, as opposed to the people who were living in the priority neighborhoods that they were designed to serve. And so in order to address this, the city is now allowing early registration for the Torontonians who live near 6 free community rec centers in advance of the general public so that they can use the programming in their own neighborhoods. Those 6 free community centers that will allow early registration for their catchment areas are Antibes, Centennial, Falstaff, Beth MacDonnell, Scarborough Village, and here at Regent Park. Here's more from the mayor this morning.
When I first became the mayor, I met with the local residents. They said, Mayor, we can't access our community center because we don't have all the devices. And at 7 o'clock when we tried to press the button, by the time we press the button, it's gone. I know. So most of the programs are filled with people that are not from the local area. And the local community actually started, the young people started a pilot program and said to me that, hey, this is how you do it. Do it a week ahead, or so they gave us the idea.
And so this is a pilot project to start that will be available at those 6 free community centers that they are starting with. If effective, staff are hoping to expand it to all 37 free community centers in Toronto. That's it for now. I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. Still to come, there are more signs economic uncertainty is causing financial problems for Canadians. A new report shows how more people are missing payments on their credit cards, loans, and mortgages, and it's younger Canadians feeling the most pressure.
We take you live to Ottawa this hour. The royal visit just wrapping up. This is a live look at the airport as the King and Queen prepared to leave for home. They depart following a very busy 2 days, a total of 24 hours in the nation's capital that included this morning's throne speech outlining the government's legislative agenda. Canadian sovereignty was mentioned several times. The King finished his address by saying, quote, as the anthem reminds us, the true north is indeed strong and free. Before the King gets on the plane, he's taking time to greet some of the police officers, the military personnel. He really has taken time over the course of the past few days to have these little moments with Canadians. The Queen also doing that as well. And that is it. King Charles III's first visit to Canada since ascending through the throne is now in the history books. We'll have more tonight at 5 and 6. Well, there are troubling new numbers that show more Canadians are missing payments on their mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards.
The report from Equifax Canada blames economic uncertainty, rising unemployment, and the high cost of food and housing. CTV's Pat Foran breaks down the numbers.
Most Canadians know you should pay off your credit card bills each month, but only about 2/3 do. The rest carry a balance, which leads to added interest payments.
The interest is so high, it's really a shame because we're all struggling.
They want you to not pay it back so that you just slide down the hill. It's like a marble on a hill.
I just pay it off one every month, whatever the minimum. Sometimes I pay a little bit more and keep it going like that.
Now some Canadians are having trouble even making minimum payments. 1.4 million consumers missed a credit payment in the first quarter of this year, an increase of 146,000 over last year.
It definitely is younger consumers, maybe even lower income consumers as well, where we are seeing those missed payments really rising.
More consumers are also having trouble paying their car loans, especially younger people. Missed auto loan payments with consumers 35 and under increased 30% over last year. Canadians are also under mortgage stress, and many are searching for ways to lower their payments. 28% of homeowners switch lenders, shopping around for better interest rates. Missed mortgage payments are also on the rise.
We've seen on the mortgage side, particularly in Ontario, the missed payments levels are really so much higher than they were kind of 12, 24, 36 months ago.
Home ownership remains out of reach for many people. A report from Desjardins found that while over the past 25 years, home prices have risen 320%, average disposable income only increased 110%. Credit counseling services say anyone who is missing payments should seek help before their situation gets worse.
You're getting the collection calls, you're getting the legal notices, you're not really knowing who to turn to.
Missing any type of payment can affect your credit rating and score, which could cause you to pay higher interest rates, and lenders may be reluctant to lend you money in the future. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Well, it's an afternoon to get outside. Give us the goods, Lindsay.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of cloud out there. Not a perfect blue sky, but still a very lovely day. One more look at the satellite and radar is going to show you that it is dry for this afternoon. So enjoy seasonal temperatures as well. Here's a look at what that looks like. No rain until tomorrow. So start planning ahead for tomorrow afternoon, especially mid-afternoon and into the evening hours for some wet weather moving in. It is going to be a bit of a cooler day. 16 is the forecast high. And there's one more look at the 7-day forecast. Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. We're going to leave you with live pictures of the King and Queen leaving Ottawa. There they are getting on the plane after a whirlwind visit. I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6.